Hello and welcome to 40 years of IFAD-China cooperation. This event is marking this beautiful cooperation throughout history. 尊敬的各位贵宾、女士们、先生们、各位朋友们，大家下午好！欢迎各位光临中国与国际农发基金 IFAD 合作40周年活动。我是今天活动的司仪，来自于中国国际电视台的主持人田薇，非常荣幸和大家在这里见面。I'm Tian Wei. It's such a pleasure to see all of you and such an honor to be the MC for this grand event celebrating 40 years of IFAD-China cooperation. 中国和国际农发基金经过40年的合作，见证了双方成熟、富有成效，并且不断发展的伙伴关系。今年呢，我们一起来庆祝这个具有里程碑意义的历史。与此同时呢，更加期待不断加深和不断充盈相互之间的合作。双方的合作见证了中国在过去40年当中的发展道路，特别是见证了中国去除绝对贫困的努力和壮举。双方的合作当中，国际农发基金伴随中国的发展，而中国同样对国际农发基金的改革和发展给予了大力的支持。双方的合作平等并具有远见卓识，相互支持，相互启发。Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you may know, through 40 years of cooperation between China and IFAD, the partnership has endured the test of time and has been further enriched by the time. Today, we are celebrating this milestone by reflecting upon China's development path over the past 40 years, especially with the country's recent achievements of eradicating extreme poverty. The relationship between China and IFAD is one between equals. IFAD accompanied China over the past 40 years in its development process, while China has been supporting IFAD in its reform and further development. We are here today to review and reflect upon the history, but even more importantly, to renew and strengthen the reciprocal commitment and partnership. 在这个非常具有鼓舞意义的时刻也可以说是具有历史意义的时刻，我们非常荣幸请到各方的贵宾和大家一起来见证。出席今天活动的贵宾有 It's my great honor to introduce the VIPs present today at the event. 中国财政部副部长于卫平先生 His Excellency Mr. Yu Weiping, the Vice Minister of Finance of China. 欢迎您的到来，非常感谢。His Excellency Mr. Gilbert Houngbo, President of IFAD. 国际农发基金总裁吉尔贝·洪博先生。同时，我们也在这里欢迎中国常驻联合国粮农机构代表广德福大使 His Excellency Ambassador Wang Defu, Permanent Representative of China to the UN agencies for food and agriculture in Rome. Also, we would love to welcome His Excellency Mr. Siddharth Chatterjee, the UN Resident Coordinator in China. 让我们欢迎联合国发展系统驻华协调员常启德先生。同时呢，今天也有来自于近100家机构的代表，其中包括国际组织、驻华使馆、中国中央政府有关部门、地方财政厅局和项目单位、研究机构等等。Also, we would love to welcome all of you, representatives from nearly 100 organizations, international organizations, embassies, Chinese central government agencies, local finance departments, and project agencies and research institutions. 那么首先呢，让我们隆重有请中国财政部副部长于卫平先生致辞。Now, my great honor to welcome Mr. Yu Weiping, Vice Minister of Finance from China. 于部长，有请。
好，尊敬的洪博
Distinguished Mr. Gilbert Houngbo, President of IFAD, Distinguished Ambassador Wang Defu, Distinguished Mr. Siddharth Chatterjee, UN Resident Coordinator in China, ladies and gentlemen, today we gather virtually to commemorate the 40th anniversary of China-IFAD cooperation. In the past 40 years, adhering to the common ideal of eliminating rural poverty and promoting agricultural development, we have gone hand in hand, pioneered and innovated, and set a good example of win-win cooperation in the agricultural field. IFAD helps China's reform and development of agricultural rural areas and farmers. The Chinese government attaches great importance to the work concerning agriculture, rural areas, and farmers as a specialized UN organization dedicated to agricultural development, rural transformation, and food security. IFAD actively participated in the reform and the development process of China's agriculture, rural areas, and the farmers. IFAD's Northern Pasture and Livestock Development Project is the first project to use loans from multilateral international financial organizations since China's reform and opening up, and has become a milestone in China's opening up and cooperation in the agricultural field. In the past 40 years, IFAD has carried out 33 projects in China covering 22 provinces, autonomous regions, and the municipalities directly under the central government, benefiting 20 million farmers. With the help of IFAD, China has explored and practiced new ideas and models such as precise poverty alleviation, inclusive value chain development, and empowerment of women and youth, and introduced international advanced agricultural concepts and technologies, which has played a positive role in solving the 3 rural issues, especially in eliminating rural poverty. China helps IFAD promote the international development of agriculture. In the 30 years, China's role in IFAD has changed from a borrower to a shareholder, a borrower, a donor, and a new development partner. China has actively participated in the governance of IFAD and continuously increased its donations to IFAD. In 2018, China donated $10 million to set up the first South-to-South and triangular cooperation facility, which made contributions to the international development of agriculture within its capacity. The 2 sides jointly held a high-level forum on poverty reduction and development, an international forum on poverty alleviation in China, a seminar on South-to-South and other events, and jointly built a database of South-to-South and triangular cooperation in the Asia-Pacific region, which set up a useful platform for promoting rural poverty reduction and sustainable agricultural development in developing countries, and was highly recognized and appreciated by all countries. The 2 sides have become all-round partners. Over the last 40 years, the 2 sides has actively carried out all-round cooperation such as high-level visits, knowledge exchange, and personnel cooperation on the basis of financial cooperation, constantly giving new connotations to cooperation. Party and the state leaders of China have met with successive presidents of IFAD many times to enhance strategic consensus for bilateral cooperation. The 2 sides have conducted research on the influence of poverty alleviation projects, rural financial services and innovation, and e-commerce poverty alleviation, and continues to deepen knowledge cooperation, especially the sharing of poverty alleviation experience. Historic breakthroughs have been made in personnel cooperation between the 2 sides in internship programs and junior professional officer programs, creating conditions for more outstanding Chinese talents who are interested in serving the global agricultural and rural development and poverty reduction. Over the last 4 decades, with the joint efforts of generations of counterparts, the cooperation between China and IFAD has achieved fruitful results. Here, on behalf of the Ministry of Finance of China, I would like to express my high respect and heartfelt thanks to all the distinguished guests and colleagues who have participated in and are participating in promoting the cooperation between China and IFAD. Ladies and gentlemen, today's world is undergoing a great change unseen in a century. The pandemic and the geopolitical conflicts overlap with each other, which makes it more challenging to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals in 2030 on schedule. As a responsible developing country, China is willing to continue to support the development and the growth of IFAD within its capacity and better realize its mandate and mission. China also hopes that IFAD will look at the cooperative relations between the two sides from a strategic perspective and the long-term development, uphold the principle of universality, and jointly promote the stable and far-reaching cooperation between the two sides. To this end, I propose to build a partnership promote rural revitalization in China. China adheres to the prioritized development of agriculture and rural areas vigorously implements the rural revitalization strategy, which provides a broad space for deepening cooperation between the two sides. It is expected that IFAD will continue to carry out all-round cooperation with China, including financial cooperation around key areas of rural revitalization, such as green agriculture, inclusive industries, and rural public services, so as to improve the innovation and demonstration projects and help China achieve common prosperity at an early date. Build a partnership to promote poverty reduction and development in rural areas in Asia and the Pacific. It is expected that IFAD will give full play to the role of South-to-South and triangular cooperation and knowledge center in East Asia, promote Asia-Pacific member countries to strengthen cooperation in agricultural and rural development, and poverty reduction, and enhance agricultural production and food security capabilities. It is expected that IFAD will continue to push forward various reforms, including decentralization 2.0, and achieve the goal of doubling its impact by 2030. At an early date, China welcomes the relocation of Asia and the Pacific Region Division in Beijing and is willing to provide assistance to IFAD to promote rural poverty reduction and food security in the Asia-Pacific region within its capacity. Build a partnership to promote global agricultural development. It is expected that IFAD will continue to carry out innovative cooperation in the world, support member countries to accelerate the recovery after the pandemic, and promote the transformation of food systems. The Global Development Initiative put forward by President Xi Jinping is highly consistent with the mandate and the mission of IFAD. China expects IFAD to continue to play its unique role as a specialized organization of the UN, actively participate in global development initiative, practice true multilateralism, and turn global development consensus into pragmatic actions. Recalling the past and extraordinary years are remembered. Envisioning to the future, the journey is brilliant and promising. We expect both sides to continue to work hand in hand to seek common development and make new contributions to China's high-quality economic and social development. The implementation of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the promotion of building a community with shared future for mankind. Thank you all.
发言，非常感谢您的致辞。谢谢您在致辞当中肯定了中国和 IFAD 之间40年的合作以及 IFAD 所取得的成就。与此同时，也感谢您和您的同事多年来和 IFAD 之间的共同努力。谢谢您的期许，希望IFAD 在东亚、南亚太和全球发挥更大的作用。Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Minister, for sharing your thoughts and insights with us during your remarks, and also your best wishes for IFAD's development in partnership with China. Thank you. Now, it's my great honor also to invite Mr. Gilbert Houngbo, who's the president of IFAD. 接下来，让我们隆重有请国际农发基金总裁洪博先生致辞。Now, Mr. Houngbo, please.
Thank you so much, moderator. Excellency, Vice Minister of Finance, Vice Minister Yu, dear colleagues, partners, and friends joining us for this commemoration. I just want to join my voice to the one of the Vice Minister in this today's event to celebrate what I consider to be an important milestone in the cooperation between IFAD on one side, the People's Republic of China on the other side. I cannot help it but by recalling in January 1980, when China became a member state, a shareholder, a member of IFAD. And a year later, that famous first loan of IFAD to China. It was a 35 million loan to finance the northern pasture and livestock development project in 3 northern provinces. And this was the first international financial institution to lend resources or funding to China. And 40 years later, we are today not only celebrating it, and with China being a shareholder, an important contributor to IFAD replenishment and a share of experience through South-South and technical cooperation. So during these years, we have, together with China, it has been a journey to address the food insecurity, eliminate the extreme rural poverty and the development challenges in the rural area. With the Rural Finance Sector Program, we contributed to the Rural Credit Cooperative reform in early 2000. In partnership with the Chinese Academy of Agricultural Sciences and the World Food Program, it introduced the first weather index-based insurance product in China in 2011. And recently, through the latest generation of projects, it improved the whole China food pin models, strengthening the capacity of cooperative to include poor rural households and smallholder farmers into the whole agriculture industrialization process. For 40 years, we have worked together in the most poor and remote area of the country. Our project contributed to building new roads to connect remote villages, to rehabilitate irrigation systems, and improve land management. They supported greater agricultural productivity by introducing more effective agricultural technologies and improving the government extension services. Together, we have helped poor smallholders have greater access to finance and better links to markets. We are ensuring that modern food value chains do not exclude poor rural farmers and have established a proper public-private partnership. Our partnership with the People's Republic of China has resulted in the improvement of the lives and the livelihoods of more than 20 million women and men in poor and rural area of China. Rigorous impact assessments have confirmed that these projects have a positive impact on development, including household income and asset, agricultural productivity, and food security, and the empowerment of women and other vulnerable groups. IFAD has greatly benefited from its partnership with China. This is what I was saying, that China is not only one of the largest recipients of IFAD resources, but China has progressively become one of the largest contributors to IFAD replenishment. Today, China is one of the most active members in our executive board, a stronger supporter of IFAD ambition reform agenda, including decentralization, including the market borrowing, and a champion of South-South cooperation. China was instrumental in the establishment of the first facility to support South-South and triangular cooperation in IFAD. With this generous contribution of the Chinese government, the facility seeks to mobilize expertise, knowledge, and resources from the global South, obviously including China, to reduce poverty and enhance the livelihood of poor and other developing countries. I just cannot help it. Honorable Vice Minister, it is crucial for us, for both IFAD and China, to step up this South-South triangular cooperation. This is a model that is going to be very helpful for the global South. Ending extreme rural poverty is a remarkable achievement. But as President Xi Jinping has said, this is just one step forward towards China's long-term goal of building a modern society by the middle of the 21st century. Some of the challenges China will face in the coming years include preventing those lifted out of poverty from falling back into poverty, safeguarding the most vulnerable, addressing the inequalities, especially between rural and urban area, revitalizing rural area and achieving carbon neutrality. IFAD stands ready to continue our partnership with China in addressing these challenges. The form and modality of cooperation will evolve and will adapt to the changing context, but IFAD commitment to China hold firm. In the year ahead, the focus of our cooperation will increasingly be around strategic engagement, dialogue, partnership, global advocacy, knowledge sharing, and as I stressed it out, South-South cooperation. Let us celebrate these 40 years of successful cooperation, and I really look forward to what the next 4 decades of partnership will bring to us. Thank you so much. Gigi.
谢谢. Thank you so much, President Houngbo, for sharing your remarks for this very historical occasion. I know you personally has been contributing to a big part of the work and cooperation between two sides. Thank you, really appreciate that. And particularly you're talking about China and the IFAD cooperation with the framework of South-South development for that vision, and also about future development of China on eradicating poverty and working toward carbon neutrality. Thank you. 谢谢洪博总裁在发言当中提到了中国与 IFAD 在过去40年之间的合作，特别是未来在南南合作方面可以一起进行的努力。与此同时呢，也感谢 IFAD 和中国继续在农村以及相关发展当中所起到的作用。谢谢。我们今天呢是一起来共同祝贺40年。那么在过去的40年当中呢，国际农发基金在华项目可以说是取得了巨大的成就。那么接下来呢，我们希望通过一个视频、一个短片一起来感受一下。Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at interviews with current and former staff and beneficiaries of IFAD-funded projects in China. Take a look at this video.
中国是个农业大国，咱们农村和农业的发展事关咱们国民经济发展和社会稳定的大局。国际农发基金项目的实施，对于我们全面建成小康社会，实现农村经济平稳较快的增长，起到了一定的促进作用。
在这个机会，我们都是现在把那个干起来。
国际农业发展基金优势特色产业发展项目计划总投资5.54亿人民币。 其中，国际农发贷款资金4300万美元，为保障项目顺利实施提供了有力的资金支持。
农发基金河南项目在河南省信阳市8个贫困县实施，使广大受益农户不仅增加了收入，而且学到了生产技能和经营技能，为今后可持续发展打下了基础。
这几年，在国际农发基金项目的支持下，我们合作社现在有360户社员。 发展种植面积达到1万余亩，每年的话，我们的干茶、饲养毛尖的产量可以达到53吨。
在国际农发基金和财政部的大力支持下，云南省在2013年至2018年期间，成功实施了云南农村综合发展项目，项目总投资9400万美元，利用国际农发基金贷款3045万个特别提款权。
这个项目好，那马也培训的，款也定的，养也养的，钱都是这个子好的。
湖南中西部农村综合发展项目是我们省与国际农发基金合作的第2个项目，项目目标和内容设计高度符合当时国家、行业和所在区域的发展战略。得益于国际农发基金的良好合作，我们省正在实施第3个项目。
2019年来，四川项目区通过国际农业发展基金项目的扶持，改善了农田基础设施条件，促进了优势特色产业发展，推动了项目价值链建设，巩固了脱贫攻坚成果。
这个夏家村的这个管理这个柠檬园区的管理人员，因为我们以前这个田地我们自己做嘛，1家几亩地，那肯定收入少。我现在就肯定收入多了，这样肯定很好啊，做起也开心。
国际农发基金贷款项目青海六盘山片区复兴项目，分别在西宁市的黄中区、黄原县、海东市的民和、乐都区、互渡县、循化县、化龙县7个县区实施。通过项目的实施呢，使项目区28万群众直接受益。
我接受过几次培训，我觉得学了好多啊。
国际农发基金项目的成果是显著的，通过3年来的基础设施建设和价值链建设，项目带动了1.6万户农户在农业产业发展过程中受益，获得长期稳定可持续的收入，为实施乡村振兴战略提供了可借鉴的经验和积极的帮助。
感谢国际农发基金。
Okay, so those projects really bring the real benefits to the real people. Thank you so much for sharing that video with us. 非常感谢，我们一起来共同回顾了相关项目的发展和他们所取得的成果，真的是造福于人民。谢谢。接下来呢，让我们有请 Now let's welcome Mr. Cheng Zhizhen, who's the Director General of the Department of International Economic and Financial Cooperation with the Ministry of Finance to present us a review of IFAD-China cooperation and achievements in the past 40 years. 下面呢，让我们有请中国财政部国际财经合作司程志军司长来介绍中国国际农发基金合作40周年纪念画册的情况，并且回顾双方40周年合作的成果。有请程先生。Mr. Cheng, please.
谢谢主持人。
Thank you, moderator. Distinguished Mr. Gilbert, Houngbo, President of IFAD, distinguished Mr. Sadat Chatri, UN Resident Coordinator in China, distinguished Vice Minister Yu Weiping, Ambassador Guang Defu. Ladies and gentlemen, in their opening speeches, Vice Minister Yu Weiping and President Gilbert Houngbo reviewed the 40-year cooperation between China and IFAD and pointed out the direction for future cooperation. The video just played also shows the fruitful results of IFAD projects in China. At the same time, in order to further highlight the achievements of cooperation between the two sides, the Ministry of Finance and IFAD have jointly compiled a commemorative album entitled 40 Years of Working Together to Promote Rural Poverty Reduction and Development. Now I will briefly review the achievements of cooperation between the two sides in the past 40 years. Since China officially joined IFAD in 1980, the cooperation between the two sides has been developing continuously. In 1981, IFAD approved the first loan project in China. In 1987, IFAD formulated the first China Country Strategic Opportunities Program. In 2017, IFAD-China Liaison Office was upgraded to China Representative Office. In 2018, China financed the establishment of China IFAD South and Triangular Cooperation Facility. These landmark events have benefited from the guiding ideology of China's party and state leaders on win-win cooperation, the basic national policy of China's reform and opening up, the strong support of IFAD. During IFAD President's visit to China, China's party and state leaders, leaders of Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, and other departments and heads of relevant local governments met with him many times to exchange views on bilateral cooperation Cooperation. Xiao, the Ministry of Finance and State Councilor, met with President Gilbert Houngbo in August 2017. These are the things where Xie Xuren, Lou Jiwei, Liu Kun, Minister of Finance, and Han Changfu, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, Du Jiahao, then Governor of Hunan Province, Wang Jianjun, then Governor of Qinghai Province, Shi Yaobin, Zhou Jiayi, Li Yong, and Zhu Guangyao, then Vice Ministers of Finance, met with IFAD President. Under the leadership of high-level officials from both sides, the cooperation between China and IFAD has been deepening. As Vice Minister Yu Weiping said, in the past 40 years, China's role in IFAD has changed from mainly a borrower to a shareholder, a borrower, donor, and a new development partner.
As a borrower, China has achieved remarkable results in financial cooperation with IFAD. IFAD projects in China have always been closely integrated with China's poverty reduction strategy. And diversified and comprehensive measures have been adopted according to local conditions, which has effectively promoted poverty reduction in rural China and provided useful reference for China's agricultural and rural economic development. The background board picture of today's commemoration is a scene of tea picking in a tea garden in Hunan Agricultural and Rural Infrastructure Improvement Project. This project, a specialized agribusiness development program in Sichuan, Ningxia, and the extreme poor, support the local use of natural advantages to develop characteristic industries and increase farmers' income. Jiangxi Ganzhou Integrated Agricultural Development Project and Yunnan Agricultural and Rural Improvement Project have built a value chain, a producer, cooperative, enterprise market, connecting the small production of thousands of households with the ever-changing big market. The Qinghai Liupanshan Mountain Area Development Project and the Modular Rural Development Program of Xinjiang empower rural women and youth by providing employment opportunities, set up capital and the training, and improve their social and economic status. Other IFAD projects in China have also achieved fruitful results. As a shareholder, China actively participates in IFAD governance. Since 1996, except in 2005, China has been the elected member of the executive board of IFAD, playing an active role in the formulation of important strategies and policies of IFAD, and supporting IFAD to grow bigger and stronger. These are the scenes where Chinese representatives attend IFAD Governing Council, executive board sessions, replenishment consultations, and other meetings. As a donor, China is the developing country with the largest donation to IFAD. From the donation of $1.3 million to IFAD's first replenishment in 1980 to the pledge of donation of equivalent to $85 million to IFAD's 12th replenishment in 2021, China had pledged to donate $330 million to IFAD, ranking 12th among member countries. As a new development partner, China actively promotes the common development of developing countries with the help of IFAD platform. China IFAD South-South and the Trilateral Cooperation Facility especially supports South-South exchange of experience and technology, knowledge sharing, capacity building, investment promotion in rural poverty reduction and development, and has carried out 19 projects in more than 40 countries, which have been widely
Thank you so much, Mr. Cheng, for sharing with us the 40 years history and some of the latest development and achievements. Thank you. 非常感谢程先生对我们帮助我们进行的介绍这一本纪念画册和回顾了40年合作的成果。下面呢，让我们有请联合国驻华协调员常启德先生致辞。Now, next, let's welcome His Excellency Mr. Siddharth Chatterjee, UN Resident Coordinator in China. Mr. Chatterjee, it's so much pleasure to see you here.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Mr. Yu Weiping, Vice Minister of Finance, Mr. Gilbert Houngbo, the president of IFAD, and may I add congratulations on your election as the new head of the International Labour Organization. Excellencies, colleagues, partners, ladies and gentlemen. In my role as the United Nations Resident Coordinator in China, I am honored to be joining this important celebration, which is a milestone in the relationship between the government of China and one of our very important UN specialized agencies, the International Fund for Agriculture Development, and an active member of the United Nations family in China. As we mark the 40th anniversary of the cooperation between IFAD and the government of China, it is only appropriate to look back at China's economic history and recall the outstanding progress made during the last 40 years. In the early 1980s, China's GDP was roughly 1/3 of sub-Saharan Africans. 90% of China's rural population was living in abject poverty, and about 1/3 of the rural population was undernourished. Today, China has become the second largest global economy and has successfully addressed hunger and eradicated extreme rural poverty. These are remarkable achievements in their own right for any country. But the fact that they were accomplished in a mere 4 decades makes them as close to an economic miracle as there ever was. All along, IFAD was there to accompany China on this remarkable journey. IFAD was there to support China in its efforts to address rural poverty and food insecurity, promote inclusive rural development, and realize its development ambitions overall. Ladies and gentlemen, this event is not only a moment to celebrate the past, but it is also an opportunity to look ahead, to do more, to go beyond and better our societies. This is the spirit of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. While it is true that much has been achieved, it is also true that more needs to be done in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Some remaining challenges include urban-rural income disparities, uneven agribusiness development, and the need to get on a pathway towards a green and climate-resilient agriculture. The government of China is taking action. In 2018, China launched an ambitious rural revitalization campaign to tackle these challenges and the way ahead as presented in the 14th Five-Year Plan, which holds incredible promise. And again, IFAD continues to support these efforts by tirelessly providing its resources, experience, and technical expertise. IFAD continues to be a reliable partner to China in addressing poverty and hunger and inequalities by closing the gap between the rural and urban areas and to leave no one behind. Currently, IFAD is also providing full support to China's rural revitalization efforts, particularly contributing to the goals of SDG 1, which is on no poverty, SDG 2 of zero hunger, and SDG 5 on gender equality. But IFAD support also goes beyond China's borders. In his remarks, as the IFAD president, Mr. Houngbo, referred to, the biodigester technologies that were first introduced by IFAD in China's Guangxi autonomous region in the early 2000s. Through the IFAD-funded projects, these interventions were later replicated in several African countries. Their impact was widespread and profound. And as Mr. Houngbo stressed, such is the power of South-South cooperation. In my previous role, Excellencies, as the United Nations resident coordinator in Kenya, I have experienced firsthand the impact China has had on the South-South cooperation space. There is much richness of experiences that China can share with other countries in the global South to support their path towards rural development and poverty eradication. Our role as the United Nations in China is to facilitate China's potential to promote, as a responsible global partner, the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals beyond its natural borders. This is one of the fundamental pillars of our cooperation framework with China. As the previous speakers noted, the commitment of the United Nations in China remains the forms and modalities of cooperation need to evolve and adjust to the changing context. In this regard, IFAD, the partnership with China has now increasingly focusing on strategic engagement and supporting China in contributing towards the global development agenda and accelerating achievement of the SDGs. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as China's President Xi Jinping said, and I quote, "Ensuring food security is always a top issue that concerns national development and people's well-being. It is imperative to study and improve food security policies, take production capacity building as a fundamental task, and tap potential of grain production from farmland and technology." End of quote. I have no doubt that IFAD will remain one of China's strongest and most committed partners. Thank you very much. 谢谢.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chatterjee, for your remarks and also your sharing with us your thoughts on China-IFAD cooperation. Thank you for the support of UN community in China. 感谢我们常启德驻华协调员的分享，谢谢。接下来，让我们有请农业农村部国际合作司一级巡视员谢建民先生致辞。Now, let's welcome Mr. Xie Jianmin, Counsel Director General level with the Department of International Cooperation with the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs. 有请 Mr. Xie.
好，谢谢主持人。
Thank you, moderator. Honorable Vice Minister Yu Weiping, President Gilbert Houngbo, Ambassador Guang Defu, Coordinator Chatterjee, leaders, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure to be invited to attend this commemorative event celebrating the 40th anniversary of the cooperation between China and IFAD. On behalf of the International Cooperation Department of the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs of China, I would like to extend my warm congratulations on the success of the event and sincere greetings to all the guests present at today's event. Since China joined IFAD in 1980, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs of China and IFAD have maintained a close and good cooperative relationship. For more than 40 years, IFAD has made important contributions to China's agricultural development and poverty alleviation. First, IFAD has actively provided financial support to China since the approval of the Northern Pasture and Livestock Development Project in 1981. A total loan of about $1.146 billion of loan has been provided to China by the end of 2020 to fund the implementation of 33 poverty alleviation and development projects, with a total investment of $3.1 billion, covering 274 counties, banners, and municipalities in 24 provinces, autonomous regions, and municipalities directly under central government, benefiting about 4.5 million farmers and more than 20 million rural poor. Second, IFAD has promoted the replication and application of agricultural production technologies. IFAD has actively introduced and adopted new technologies, improved technical extension services, enhanced extension service capacity, and advanced application of new varieties. For example, in Xinjiang, Inner Mongolia, and Henan, IFAD introduced a system of science and technology commissioners, implemented incentive mechanisms, carried out the introduction, demonstration training, guidance of new varieties and technologies, and improved the agricultural technology in the project. Third, IFAD has promoted capacity building. IFAD attaches great importance to capacity building of project beneficiaries in China, especially skills training, agricultural production technology, and income generation centering on the long project cooperation. Specialized trainings were organized to share and apply the knowledge and experience learned in the projects. IFAD has also supported the capacity building programs provided to relevant Chinese institutions. Fourth, our exchanges and cooperation with IFAD have been increasingly deepened. In September 2021, President Houngbo delivered a video speech for the International Conference on Food Loss and Waste, sharing the experience of IFAD in taking actions to reduce food loss and waste in developing countries. Recently, Assistant Vice President Wu Guoqi made a video speech at the BRICS Symposium on Rural Development and Poverty Alleviation, introducing the sustainable development, resilient development, and inclusive and fair development of the food system. Currently, the focus of China's agricultural and rural work is shifting to the comprehensive promotion of rural revitalization. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs will do a good job in consolidating, expanding the achievement of poverty eradication and rural revitalization, comprehensively promoting the implementation of rural revitalization, accelerating the pace of agriculture and rural modernization, advancing high quality and high efficient development of agriculture, building livable rural areas and reach prosperous farmers.
It is hoped that IFAD will maintain and speed up efforts to increase support in rural investment in terms of poverty alleviation and food security, as well as the key areas we can deepen cooperation, especially in terms of supporting small farmer, digital agriculture, sustainable development, South-South cooperation. You can implement a preferential and practical projects which has extensive influence in terms of a high-level guidance and the loans, grants, donations, institutional governance, knowledge management, talents exchanges. We can achieve new outcomes. We are going to promote developing countries to gain win-win cooperation, and we can promote the Sustainable Development Goals, UN. Thank you.
谢谢您一级巡视员和大家的分享，感谢您的致辞，一起在减贫和粮食安全方面进行更多的努力。Thank you so much, Mr. Xie, for sharing your thoughts and remarks with us, and also best wishes for the cooperation between your side and also IFAD on poverty alleviation and also food security. Thank you. 下面呢，就让我们一起来收看一段录像。这个录像呢，所讲述的内容呢，就是历任农发基金国别主任，也包括中国项目经理及亚太区域局长的他们的祝贺视频。Now let's take a look at this video, reflections from former and current IFAD staff, as well as those associated to IFAD programs in China. Let's take a look. 有请。
Today, the majority of the world poor live in rural areas, and the majority of the poor who live in rural areas depend directly or indirectly on agriculture. So that's the main rationale for an organization.
在自从中国加入农发基金，是国际金融组织里面的第一个和中国开始合作的。
改革开放之初，国家应该说贫困面非常大。 国际农发基金当时给了我们国家很好的一个支持。
Working in China, I think was in a way relatively easy, simply because government was very clear in its mind about what were the objectives.
They were absorbing new ideas, technologies, innovations, and bring them to the rural people.
The innovations focused on farming technology, decentralized rural energy, enterprise models, and productive sustainability.
At that time, China was in full economic development.
We started convincing the government to focus more on softer things, building capacity, training, workshops.
在妇女问题研究上，因为有IFAD的项目呢，把我们许多我们自己一些个想法其实实现了。它是一个起点，但是我们相信它不会是终点。
农发基金和中国这个合作关系与时俱进，发生了翻天覆地的变化。
China's achievements in poverty reduction and economic transformation are most impressive, and they provide many relevant lessons for others to replicate.
农发基金呢，我想从它原来援助中国，现在慢慢的利用中国的经验和技术，开展南南合作， 中非基金非常欢迎这种转变，包括在南南合作和这个第三方合作的这种机制下，我们也非常希望跟中华基金扩大合作。
I think more and more as a global player, China would need to take a stake in contributing to address global problems and achieving global public goods.
China moved from simply being a recipient of IFAD financing to become one of the most important contributors to IFAD resources and to become a very active member of IFAD's governing bodies.
It should come in and step up its effort to leverage South-South and triangular cooperation more actively.
Moving from domestic to the global level. That's really how I envision the future.
Thank you very much for sharing the history and also the thoughts of the current and the former staffs of IFAD in China and also in the region. Appreciate it. 下面呢，让我们有请中国常驻联合国粮农机构代表广德福大使发言。Now let's welcome.
尊敬的魏平副部长。
His Excellency Vice Minister Yu Weiping, dear President Gilbert Houngbo, Excellencies, guests. I'm pleased to attend today's commemoration. As a member of IFAD for more than 40 years, China's cooperation with IFAD has been developing continuously. With the help of international organizations such as IFAD, China has not only won the victory of comprehensively getting rid of poverty, but also made outstanding contributions to the global sustainable development goals. In September last year, President Xi Jinping put forward the Global Development Initiative at the UN General Assembly and put forward cooperation ideas and plans in 8 directions, including poverty reduction, food security, development financing, so as to promote a stronger, greener, and healthier global development platform. Draw a blueprint for the current global changes and international development, and also point out the direction for the development of IFAD-China partnership. I would like to take this opportunity to make 3 comments. First, China and IFAD have broad prospects for cooperation in the field of rural revitalization. After China completed the goal and the task of getting rid of poverty on schedule, the focus of agriculture, rural affairs, and farmers has shifted to the systematic project of rural revitalization, including grain production, rural reform, rural industry, rural ecological construction, and so on. This systematic project is highly consistent with IFAD's core mission of rural transformation development. I'm glad to see that the cooperation between the 2 sides in this field has achieved initial results. The 2 rural revitalization cooperation projects in Yunnan and Hunan are progressing steadily, with a total investment of over $400 million USD, of which IFAD provides preferential loans of $135 million USD. I believe the future cooperation between the 2 sides in this field will be more exciting. Secondly, SSTC, South-South and the triangular cooperation is the focus of partnership between China and IFAD. China has been an important advocate, supporter, and participant of SSTC for a long time, and has set up thematic funds in IFAD and other institutions to help developing countries support each other and work together to achieve sustainable development goals. Since reform and opening up, China has made great achievements in rural poverty reduction and food security and accumulated rich experiences in rural transformation and green development. We hope that China's experience, technology, and practices can better benefit other developing countries through multilateral platforms like IFAD. It is expected that IFAD, as an important platform of SSTC, will continue to promote the further development of SSTC. Third, China and IFAD have great potential in human resources cooperation. China has gradually become an important donor to IFAD. But the problem of insufficient geographical representation in IFAD has become increasingly prominent. IFAD is committed to rural and agricultural development in developing countries, and it needs more talents from developing countries who have better understanding of their own needs and challenges. It is expected that IFAD will receive more talents from China in the future and deepen the friendly cooperation in human resources between the two sides. We are about to embark on a
bridge between China and IFAD. So let's move on to the next one. 下面让我们有请国际农发基金助理副总裁吴国启来介绍迈向2030年的国际农业发展基金。Now let's have the presentation of the book IFAD Toward 2030 by Mr. Guo Qiwu, Associate Vice President with the Corporate Service Department of IFAD. Mr. Wu.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Honorable Vice Finance Minister Yu, Honorable President Houngbo, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon to you all. 尊敬的于副部长，尊敬的洪博总裁，各位领导。
His Excellency Vice Minister Yu Weiping and President of IFAD, Mr. Houngbo.
To present the Chinese book entitled IFAD Towards 2030, 迈向2030年的国际农业发展基金, at this historical event of celebrating the 40th anniversary of IFAD-China cooperation. As underscored by the previous distinguished speakers and demonstrated in the short videos, the IFAD-China partnership has evolved significantly over the last 4 decades, and the achievements have been indeed tangible and remarkable. While a lot have been done on the ground through innovative and demonstrative development interventions, we are mindful that more can be done in areas such as communications and advocacy. It was in this context that we initiated this Chinese book, IFAD Towards 2030, and the objectives are twofold. First, to help raise among Chinese readers awareness of IFAD as a United Nations specialized agency and an international financial institution with the unique mandate of rural poverty reduction in the developing countries, and thus to enhance IFAD's visibility in China. Second, complementary to the 40th anniversary photo book jointly issued by the Chinese Ministry of Finance and IFAD to better showcase the great achievements of IFAD's cooperation with China. The book consists of 9 chapters and a number of annexes, structured around 4 main building blocks. The first building block is to look at IFAD from a historical perspective, illustrating the context and significance of establishment in the 1970s, as well as the prospects for IFAD to contribute to Agenda 2030. The second building block is to view IFAD from a global economic governance perspective, analyzing the evolution and main characteristics of IFAD's governance structure, resource mobilization, and organizational structure, including its human resources management framework and some useful guidance on job applications. The third building block is to understand IFAD from an aid effectiveness perspective, focusing on IFAD's strategic framework, key operational strategies and policies, business model, project management cycle, and financial and risk management frameworks. The fourth and last building block is devoted to the IFAD-China partnership, providing a comprehensive overview on the partnership's evolution over the last 4 decades, key achievements and good practices, as well as the future development of this partnership. Knowledge management is an important part of the IFAD-China partnership, and this book represents one of the gratifying outcomes of knowledge cooperation between IFAD and China. As eloquently summed up in the book's preface by Madam Zhou Jiayi, former Vice Minister of Finance and former Governor of China to IFAD, this book is expected to serve as a very useful source of information and reference point. First, for understanding by Chinese readers the global trends in poverty reduction and development, as well as the opportunities and challenges for achieving SDGs, and for deepening and innovating effective partnerships through drawing on IFAD's experiences and good practices. And second, for assisting Chinese universities in training top young talents with global perspectives and strong competencies, and enhance college graduates' awareness of international organizations while providing them with helpful guidance on how to apply for positions in such organizations. This book was the product of excellent teamwork of Chinese staff at IFAD. It was published by the Economic Science Press in November 2021. From initiation to publishing, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic context, we had received valuable guidance and enormous support from various parties. We are extremely grateful to the senior management of both IFAD and Chinese Ministry of Finance for their insightful guidance. And our sincere thanks go to President Houngbo himself and Madam Zhou Jiayi for taking their time to write prefaces for the book. The Department of International Economic and Financial Cooperation of Ministry of Finance, the permanent representation of China to the UN food agencies, as well as IFAD departments and divisions for their tremendous support. Last but not least, the management and editors of the Economic Science Press for their unwavering efforts in the planning, editing, and publishing of this book. Thank you very much for your kind attention. 谢谢大家。
谢谢吴先生，感谢您周到的这样的祝贺和感谢。与此同时，也祝贺我们这一本书取得圆满的成功。I'm looking forward to reading that book. Looking forward to 2030, the cooperation between China and IFAD. Thank you so much, Mr. Wu. Now let's have the closing remarks from both sides, China and IFAD. 让我们有请财政部国际财经合作司李红霞副司长和我们进行分享，并进行总结性的分享。Now let's have the closing remarks by Ms. Li Hongxia, who has been closely working behind the scenes for this event, and also she is here to share with us some of her thoughts. Deputy Director General from the Department of International Economic and Financial Cooperation with the Ministry of Finance. 有请 Ms. Li.
谢谢田蕊女士。
Thank you.
尊敬的一位
Honorable Vice Minister Weiping, President Gilbert Houngbo, Resident Coordinator Strategy, Ambassador Guang Defu, ladies and gentlemen, the commemorative event celebrating the 40th anniversary of China-IFAD cooperation is coming to an end. In the opening speech, Vice Minister Weiping noted that over the past 40 years, China and IFAD have been committed to the common ideal of eradicating rural poverty and promoting agricultural development. We worked hand in hand, pioneered and innovated and set a model of women cooperation in the field of agriculture. President Houngbo pointed out that the cooperation between China and IFAD has achieved achieve remarkable results, and IFAD continue to firm support to China's development and is willing to promote the cooperation between two sides to keep pace with the times, strengthen cooperation in strategic engagement, dialogue, partnership building, knowledge sharing, and South-to-South cooperation, and contribute to global development. Ambassador Guang Defu, Resident Coordinator Chatterjee, Director General Chen Zhijun, Counsel Xie Jianming, Assistant Vice President Wu Guoqi, and other guests have reviewed the history and fruitful results of the cooperation between China and IFAD from different perspectives, highly affirmed the positive role played by the two sides in helping China to eliminate rural poverty, and believe that the cooperation between the two sides had provided useful reference for the cause of international poverty reduction and rural development. I'd like to take this opportunity to express my heartfelt thanks to the representatives of international organizations, embassies in China, government departments, and the research institutions who have participated in the event, especially outstanding efforts made by the financial departments, project participants of 22 provinces and cities for the financing cooperation between the two sides. I would like to thank the working teams of both sides for their meticulous preparation. I thank the team led by Mattel for the preparation of this event and the cooperation with the Chinese side. I would like to thank Madam Tian Wei for the hosting of the event. Fruitful results have been achieved over the past 4 decades, and new outcomes will be delivered in the years ahead. I believe that with the joint efforts of both teams, China and IFAD will jointly write a brilliant picture for the next 40 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Li, and thank you for your hard work in cooperation with our colleagues at IFAD. Looking forward. 非常感谢李红霞女士，您和您的同事以及我们 IFAD 的很多的同事一起合作，来成就了今天的纪念活动。谢谢你们辛苦的工作啊！接下来让我们有请国际农发基金驻华代表马泰奥先生进行总结发言。Now, Mr. Mateo Marquisio, the country representative in China for IFAD. Mateo, good to see you.
Thank you, Tian Wei, and it's really a great honor for me to be here and have the opportunity to close this event. Let me start first of all to thank the Vice Minister of Finance, Mr. Weiping, my president, the president of IFAD, our distinguished speakers, our moderator, and all the participants for having joined us in celebrating this important milestone in our relationship with China. Let me also acknowledge and express my heartfelt thanks to my team, the IFAD country office in China, to my colleagues in headquarters, from the office of the president, from our communication division, and to the Department of International Economic and Financial Cooperation of the Ministry of Finance for the incredible work in organizing this event. If we needed an additional example of our successful cooperation, the joint organization of this event is really best practice. Is a great example of how the two parties have worked together for this objective. In concluding this event, there is little I can add to what has been already said. So I just wanted to share a personal anecdote. When back in 2013, before I was given the responsibility of the IFAD country program in China, I informally expressed the interest in working in China. I recall that one of my colleagues, one senior colleague, basically asked me, Matteo, why do you want to work in China? IFAD program in China will be over in 3 years. We're here almost 10 years later. And I'm very proud to say that not only that prophecy proved wrong, but that our partnership is as strong as ever. And honestly, I would not be surprised if in 40 years, I will be approached and I will be asked to join the celebration of our 80th anniversary of our cooperation. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, 谢谢.
Thank you so much, Mateo, and also your colleagues with IFAD here in China. I know this has been the effort of quite some time in the making in order to make this event happen. And with the support of so many that are here today and working behind the scenes, this is a great success. 非常感谢马蒂奥先生和您的同事以及中方的各位同事的合作，让我们今天的这个活动成为可能，并且呢，在这个40年的庆祝时刻，回顾历史，更加展望未来。就像我们今天来参加活动的各位嘉宾所提到的那样，希望大家的合作进一步的深化，希望我们在亚太、南以及全球的合作进一步的发展。Thank you so much for all your remarks and sharing of your thoughts. We are looking forward to the cooperation between China and IFAD for the 40 years to come. Really appreciate everybody. 谢谢，再会。再一次祝贺 ，Congratulations！
谢谢，再见，
拜拜。
Thank you， 再见。
Bye. Thank you all.
Thank you。